Welcome back to the Deep Dive. I was looking at some economic history this morning, specifically the Industrial Revolution.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just wild to think that for, 200 years, the whole idea of work was completely tied to place. You went to the factory, you went to the office tower.
Right.
The building was the company. If you didn't have the walls, you sort of didn't have the business.
It was a rigid tether. I mean, capital assets were physical things. You own the machine or you own the desk.
And if you wanted to grow...
You had to build more walls, literally.
Exactly. And now it feels like in the blink of an eye, that tether has just snapped. But, and this is what I really want to dig into today, we haven't just, floated away into the cloud.
No, not at all.
We still need places. We're physical beings.
Yeah.
But the nature of those places has changed from like a static fortress to something much more fluid.
That is the key tension right now. We're in what I call a post-static era. It's not about owning the fortress anymore. It's about having access to the infrastructure.
And that, I think, brings us perfectly to the source material we're breaking down today.
It really does.
We're looking at a stack of news and data from the team at moveandstay.com. And for context, these guys have been the gold standard in this space for a long time.
A really long time, over 25 years. I mean, that's a lifetime in the internet age.
It truly is. They specialize in serviced apartments, hotels, and of course, serviced offices. Basically anything longer than a few days where you actually need to live and work.
So they see the trends first. They're trusted by professionals, by entrepreneurs, by these big corporate teams.
And the signal they're picking up right now involves a major player called Compass Offices.
A heavyweight, especially in the Asia-Pacific flexible workspace market. And the headline news here is just aggressive expansion.
They're not pulling back at all.
They're doubling down. 2 major new centers, one in Tokyo's Yotsuya district and another right in Singapore's financial heart, the Samsung Hub.
So on the surface, okay, company opens new doors. It sounds like standard press release stuff. But when we dug into the why, the specific locations, the amenities, the tech, it tells a much, much bigger story about how the global economy is trying to find its footing again.
It's a story about agility. Hans Leighton, he's the CEO of Compass Offices, is quoted saying this is a direct response to escalating demand.
But demand from who? That's the key part.
Exactly. It's not just the digital nomads. It's Fortune 500s. It's enterprise teams. They're all looking for what he calls agile work solutions.
That word agile gets thrown around so much. In software, it means one thing. In corporate speak, does it just mean we have no idea what we're doing next month?
Sometimes, yeah. But in commercial real estate, agile is actually a very specific financial strategy.
Oh,
it's the shift from CapEx to OpEx.
Okay, let's pause there and unpack that. Capital expenditure versus operational expenditure. Why does that matter so much here?
Well, traditionally, an office is CapEx. You spend millions up front. The lease, the renovation, the desks, the servers, the coffee machine.
That money is just gone before you've even made a dollar.
It's a heavy anchor. Agile shifts all that to OpEx, operational expenditure. You pay a monthly fee. It's like a utility. You turn the tap on, you turn it off.
For a CFO, especially in these uncertain times, that flexibility must be worth its weight in gold.
It is. So Compass Offices isn't really selling desks.
They're selling risk mitigation.
That is the perfect way to put it. They're selling the ability to be wrong about your growth projections without going bankrupt.
And that kind of sets the stage for who Compass Offices even is.
Yeah.
Because you might not realize the scale we're talking about here.
They started in 2009.
Which is not a coincidence, right?
Not at all, right after the global financial crisis.
The world fell apart, credit froze up.
And nobody wanted to sign a 10-year lease on anything, so Compass was born from that chaos to provide flexibility. Now they're at, nearly 40 centers across 9 cities?
They've really ridden that wave from being a crisis solution to just being standard operating procedure.
Absolutely.
The source material we have highlights 4 pillars of their philosophy: affordability, scalability, technology, and choice. But I want to push back on affordability for a second.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking about Class A buildings in Tokyo and Singapore. These can't be cheap.
Well, affordable is relative. If you compare the monthly fee to, say, a co-working desk in a basement, sure, it's a premium product.
Right.
But if you compare it to the massive sunk cost of fitting out your own floor in a Tokyo high-rise, the architects, furniture, IT setup, legal fees, the serviced model is way more affordable from a cash flow perspective.
So it lowers the barrier to entry. You don't need $1 million in the bank to look like $1 million company.
Yeah, drastically. which leads right into that second pillar, scalability. The source explicitly mentions their client mix. It's startups, yeah, but it's also enterprise teams.
What does that even mean, enterprise team? Are we talking about IBM sending 5 people to Tokyo?
Could be. Or it could be 50 people.
Right.
Or a special project team that needs to exist for exactly 18 months. In the old world, where you put them.
You cram them in a windowless conference room or the cafeteria.
Right. But with this model, you take a suite. If the project explodes, you take the suite next door. If it fizzles out, you just leave. They cater to teams from 1 person up to 40.
That's the accordion effect.
Exactly.
It's almost like cloud computing for physical space. You spin up a server when you need more capacity, you shut it down when traffic drops.
That is the perfect analogy. And just like cloud computing, it relies very heavily on that third pillar, technology.
Okay, we definitely need to get into the IT side of things.
We do. But before we geek out on that, let's look at the actual hardware, the buildings themselves.
Let's start in Japan. The new location is the Yosuya N Club Business Center. I know Tokyo a bit, and Shinjuku is this monster hub. Yosuya is right there, but it feels different.
It is different. It's more sophisticated, maybe a bit more connected in a business sense. It's in Shinjuku, but it's a major transit point.
The source really emphasizes that. The proximity to the Tokyo Metro and the JR Yosuya station.
And the JR line is the absolute lifeblood of Tokyo. If you're not on that loop, you might as well be on the moon for some clients.
It's all about efficiency.
In Tokyo, FaceTime still matters so much. You have to be able to get to your client's office in 15 minutes. Yotsuya gives you that strategic position. It's a logistics play.
And it's not a small space. The data says it's an 8-floor facility. That surprised me.
It's huge.
Usually these places are, a floor or two in a bigger tower. 8 floors is a whole ecosystem.
It creates a campus feel. When you have 8 floors of different companies, tech, finance, legal, you get those water cooler moments people miss.
But you might be networking with a potential partner in the elevator.
Right. It changes the dynamic from I'm renting a room to I'm part of a club.
The amenities list mentions business-ready spaces. That phrase keeps coming up. It implies zero friction.
Zero friction is the entire goal. Business ready means the internet works, the printer has toner, the coffee's hot, and the receptionist speaks English and Japanese.
You just bring your laptop and you're working.
You are operational at 9 a.m. on day 1. No calling the electric company.
And context here is key. The Move and Stay report says this isn't their first spot in Tokyo. They have centers in Ibisu and Toranomon.
And this is that choice pillar in action. Toranomon is heavy government, high finance. Very traditional. Ibisu is trendy, creative media companies.
So Yotsuya sits right in the middle.
Geographically and culturally, yeah. By adding Yotsuya, they're covering all the bases. They can ask a client, what's your vibe? Need to impress a minister. Toranomon. Need to hire young designers. Ibisu. Need peer connectivity. Yotsuya.
That's a really smart portfolio strategy.
It is. Now let's fly south, because the Singapore expansion is hitting a completely different note.
The Samsung Hub. Just the name sounds expensive.
It's as prime as it gets. We're talking Raffles Place.
For anyone who hasn't been, Raffles Place is the absolute center of the financial universe in Singapore. It's their Wall Street.
It is. And the new Compass Center is on the 29th floor. The source makes a point to talk about the panoramic views of the Singapore River and Marina Bay.
Okay, I have to be the devil's advocate. Do views actually matter? Or is that just, executive vanity?
There's definitely an element of prestige. But in high-stakes fields like wealth management, which is huge in Singapore, optics are currency.
How so?
If you bring a high-net-worth client to an office overlooking Marina Bay Sands, it signals stability. It signals success. It establishes trust before you even open your mouth.
That's a fair point. You can't look like you're managing someone's millions from a basement.
Exactly. But beyond the view, look at the demand. The CEO, Hans Leiten, specifically points to the technology and financial sectors driving this.
And Singapore has been pushing hard to be the Silicon Valley of Southeast Asia.
They're succeeding. But here's the thing about fintech and tech. They're volatile. A startup might raise a Series B and need to hire 50 people next week.
They can't wait 6 months for a build-out.
They can't, and they can't commit to a 5-year lease when they might get acquired in 2. They need that enterprise solution that Compass offers, the ability to look corporate and stable but stay agile.
It's interesting they have 3 locations in Singapore, too. It really mirrors the Tokyo strategy.
It's the cluster strategy. Dominate the key districts. It builds brand reliability. If you use Compass in Tokyo and have a good experience, you're more likely to sign with them in Singapore. You know what you're getting.
Okay, we promised to get into the nuts and bolts. The tech, The source material emphasizes enterprise-grade IT infrastructure for both locations. What does that actually mean?
This is the most critical part. If I'm a freelancer, I just need Wi-Fi. A Starbucks connection is fine.
Right.
But if I'm a Fortune 500 company or a bank or a health tech firm dealing with patient data, I absolutely cannot use shared public Wi-Fi.
Because of security risks.
Security and compliance, yeah. If you log into your bank server from an unsecured network, you're fired. Enterprise grade means things like VLAN's virtual local area networks.
Okay, explain that like I'm 5.
Imagine the office internet is a big water pipe. In a coffee shop, everyone drinks from the same fountain. If someone sneezes in it, everyone gets sick.
I'm with you.
In a VLAN setup, even though you're in the same building using the same physical cable, the water is separated into individual sealed pipes for each company.
So my data never touches your data, even if we're sitting 10 feet apart.
Correct. It's digitally walled off. Plus, you get bandwidth management, so if the startup next door starts downloading the entire Library of Congress, it doesn't slow down your Zoom call.
That is a huge deal. I've been in places where the internet dies every time the design team shows up.
And that's the difference between co-working and a serviced office. Compass is selling reliability. They even provide server room capabilities.
So you can bring your own physical hardware.
A secure, cooled rack on site. For many financial institutions, that's a non-negotiable requirement. They need their own black box.
So when MoveAndStay.com highlights technology, they're not just talking about a printer that works. They're talking about the invisible stuff that keeps a business legal and running.
Absolutely. For their target audience, that's often the first box that needs to be checked before they even look at the price tag.
It's fascinating how the role of a landlord has changed. They used to just fix the roof.
And now they have to be the IT director, the hospitality manager, and the interior designer. It's the space as a service model. You're subscribing to a productivity platform.
So zooming out, we have these two big expansions, this move toward high-end, tech-enabled flexibility. What does this tell us about the next 5 years of work?
It tells us the hybrid model is maturing. It was chaos for a while, everyone home, then everyone back. Now the infrastructure is catching up to reality.
Companies realize they need hubs.
They need places to gather, to impress clients, to collaborate, but they refuse to be weighed down by those hubs. They want the benefits of the office without the baggage of the lease.
And companies like Compass are building the ecosystem for that. They're betting big that flexibility isn't a fad, it's the new baseline for the global economy.
It really changes the game for you, the listener, too. If you're running a business or leading a team, the map is suddenly a lot bigger than you think.
It is. You used to have to ask, can we afford to open an office in Tokyo?
Now the question is just, do we have a reason to be in Tokyo? Because the friction of getting there has almost vanished. And, moveandstay.com makes finding a place to live and work abroad so much easier. So the logistics are basically solved.
That is a powerful shift. It democratizes global business. You can look like a multinational on a startup's time frame.
And that brings me to a thought I've been chewing on while reading through all this.
Let's hear it.
We talked about scalability, that accordion effect. If a company can expand its physical presence from 1 person to 40 overnight with zero logistical friction, does that change the actual speed of innovation itself?
How do you mean?
Well, growth was always capped by logistics. We can't hire more engineers because we don't have desks. We can't enter the Singapore market because the lease takes 6 months.
Right.
If you remove those brakes, how fast can a car actually go?
That's a wild thought. If the only limit to growth is your actual product and your talent, not the walls around you.
You could see companies scaling at speeds you've just never seen before. It creates a hyperfluid market.
The companies that use this agility well will just outmaneuver the ones stuck in those 10-year leases.
It's an evolutionary advantage.
Survival of the fittest becomes survival of the most flexible.
Exactly. The dinosaurs were big and strong, but they weren't flexible. And we all know how that ended.
On that note, a huge thank you to MoveAndStay.com for providing the data and insights on this Compass Office's expansion.
They really are the go-to resource for this kind of thing.
Absolutely. MoveAndStay.com has been helping business travelers for over 25 years. They specialize in service departments, hotels, and of course, service offices, ideal for any stay that's more than just a few days.
It really simplifies the whole process.
It does. So whether you're a professional, an entrepreneur, or part of a corporate team, they make it easy to find a comfortable place to live and work abroad. Definitely check them out.
For sure.
And to you, the learner, thanks for diving deep with us. Whether you're listening from a corner office, a kitchen table, or a service lounge in Tokyo, Keep exploring. We'll see you on the next one.
Goodbye, everyone.